Welcome along. Great to see you two again. Great to have whoever's tuning in later tuning in. So we've just welcomed Rod, and he's pointed out that it's a strange topic today: dentists or Ikea, which he thinks maybe about they both rip you off, but we'll discover. So why on earth are we doing that? It actually comes from Rachel Turner. So it's in her book. It takes a church to raise a parent, but she also talked about it at the information sections recently about the sort of 5 keys for faith formation stuff. So she says that often when we deal with parents, and I think you could extrapolate this out to the church, it can seem like the dentist. So she says, you go to the dentist and you'll be asked the questions, do you brush twice a day? And of course you go, yes. And do you brush for 2 minutes each time? And yes. And do you floss? And she said, once she thought, I'll be honest. No, I don't floss every day. Oh, well, you really shouldn't. Let's have a demonstration of how to do it. She thought, I should have just lied and like I always do and do that. So it's that sense of the dentist. There's one way to do it. You brush your teeth. This is the way you do it. If you're not brushing your teeth properly, I'll show you how to brush your teeth. And everybody feels bad when they go to the dentist because most of us aren't doing what we're meant to be doing. And so you think, well, I've just got to lie and I'll pretend. And so sometimes in church, when we talk about faith formation, that's what families can think like, oh, it just doesn't work for me. I'm just not doing it. And I just feel bad. And again, getting back to, I think I used the example yonks ago when I was at college and they said, make goals. And one was, potentially make one around reading the Bible and be realistic. What can you do? So if it's realistic, you keep doing it. And if you say, I'm going to read it 3 times every day, you're never going to do that and you'll just feel bad and you'll never touch the Bible. So yeah, that challenge of we don't want to be like dentists when we're dealing with faith formation in the home. It's not, we don't want our parents to be feeling bad of, oh, I can't do this. Instead, she says we want to be like Ikea. Now, I've never been to Ikea, so I have to trust her. What she told me Ikea is like. Rod, have you been to Ikea?
Yes, superstores and things. Yep.
Excellent.
I get dragged through occasionally.
You can correct anything that's wrong. Kylie, you've never been to Ikea, have you?
I think once.
Once.
But so long ago that doesn't register.
No. See, I'm just one of those people. I want to go into a shop, get what I want, and get out. And I hear that IKEA, you've got to walk sort of all the way through. And it's like, I don't want that. I want in, out, as quick as possible. But anyway, she says that when you go into IKEA, there's all these rooms set up as here's what your room could look like. Here's a living room. Here's a living room. Here's a living room with all our things. And she says she loves to get in and open drawers and pull things out and play. And in a sense, that's what we want to be doing when we're talking about faith formation. Here's some wonderful ideas. You can come through and, this might be what it looks like, or you might pull this bit out and change it with this, and so on and so forth. And so encouraging our parents, it's not a dentist. There's only one way to do things, but here's some things that you can use. So as I was reflecting on this today, for us, I send out the email every Monday. We don't use the Bible reading for the next week stuff because that doesn't necessarily work in our family sort of rotation of where we are and I know Ollie will hear the reading on Wednesday with Southside for kids. He'll often explore it in Jaffa and then gets to Sunday. So he doesn't necessarily need the Monday. So that doesn't work for us. So we don't use it. I use the daily readings with him when I put him to bed. So in that sense, we're taking that journey. But yeah, I'll be honest, I don't use the stuff I send out or all the stuff I send out just because that doesn't work with our family. It's part of, and maybe it's me being bad, but part of it's like, well, you would do that on Monday, and Monday's my day off, and I don't want to be doing stuff that looks like work. Maybe that's bad of me.
And you also get the I've heard this before.
Yes.
So you don't want that.
Yeah, had that a few times and had that last night. We were doing the reading was the golden calf. I've heard this before. Well, you listen and see if there's anything that jumps out that you weren't expecting. So yes, we can do that. But yeah, so we're chucking some things out as Southside. So there's the Monday email, there's Southside for kids, there's the things we're doing in kids ministry. That is not to say that parents, if you're listening, you have to do all of it. It's about here's some different options. Here's Ikea. Which ones work for your family? And I guess part of the challenge for the church is that as we look at intergenerational, it's a bit like Ikea, that there's no one answer of this is what intergenerational looks like and this is what it looks like in every church. But in that sense, because like children, every church is different. I could say because it's made up of a lot of children, but I probably shouldn't for people to behave like children. Therefore, every church is different. And so every outgoing of intergenerational, every outgoing of children's ministry, every outgoing of youth ministry, every outgoing of everything is going to look slightly different because what works here? Which means, of course, playing. Presumably, when they set up their room in Ikea, they don't just go, I have this, this, and this, but it's like, we'll put that in. Oh, no, what if this bookshelf looks better than that bookshelf or whatever? So I'm showing that I have no idea what's happening at Ikea. But yeah, playing and trying and doing that. Reflections on those thoughts now that you know what dentists and Ikea is all about. I thought that might attract an extra person, but it didn't work.
Not my way.
I guess one of the dangers is taking that step further and saying, so this is how I want to think about it, when it might be the wrong way of thinking about it, as opposed to a different way of thinking about it. I like it. I choose that color in the room doesn't make too much difference. But if if it was all black, it might be saying something about me. If I can pick and choose the way I'm learning rather than what it is. Sorry, if I not pick and choose the way I'm learning, pick and choose bits of it that can be misinterpreted, but the way I go about it allows me to continue down that path and not be corrected by the dentist that says, you don't have to floss. There is something new that you don't have to floss with anymore, as long as you wash your mouth out with this and use one of those power squirters in your mouth, not one of the ones for the house, but a small version of it. It might work, but that's just a comment. If you let loose on that, you may pick and choose the things you're learning, pick and choose the way you're learning them, and it may not be the right way. Yeah. That's why we have Richard to put us back on track. Yeah.
So the sense of we as a church here, we're supplying you with resources that help you to some degree keep that track. So here's some options, but it's not about here's options, do all of them. I think that was back, and I can't remember whether it was early on in lockdown when we started sending stuff out, or whether it was even before that when I was doing stuff back when it was just Wellers Hill, Tarragindi, and sending stuff out to families. And I was like, I'm probably giving you too many options. And people are feeling, I'm expected to do all of this, as if I have to do a whole Sunday school lesson with my child. It's like, no, just pick the one or two of those that you think work with your child, and started putting that up the top, but I don't know whether that sunk into people. It's this long list and it's too much. So yes, it can be that difficulty of how do you provide options but not overwhelm people with options. But yes, how are we, I guess a bit unlike Ikea, how are we walking alongside going, okay, so if I was Ikea, you've bought that bookshelf, let me come and see where you've put that in the room. That looks good, but can I suggest maybe if you tried it over there, it might work even better. Obviously that doesn't happen. Hopefully IKEA people don't rock up at your door suggesting.
Actually, they have put the thing out, ask us into your home and let us see how you used it. But that was just an IKEA thing. What was my thought as you were talking about that? It'll come. Keep talking.
Yep.
Sorry, Richard, interrupted.
I know as a teacher, like we've done things before where it's kind of looks like a bingo board. And it's like, as long as you choose 5 of these things, you know, there's 15 there. Choose at least 5 across to do your homework. And that works well because then you pick the ones that work to your learning style or your fun or your boring or what can we do in 2 seconds and not 20 minutes. So that's sort of the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they know from the outset, not every activity has to be done. Like it's not like, you know, so yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Richard, I guess what you put out needs to be at 2 levels. One is what you want to be understood, to be learned, to be looked at this week or this day, whatever it might be. But the other one is the train the trainer session, where you're trying to let the person who's going to be talking to the child or taking the lesson themselves, what it is that the options that you could use here. That is not everything that falls out. It might, you may or may not use the activity, same as a Sunday school teacher when they get there. Just they've had hopefully the previous week to prepare the lesson, and then they do the bit that they can cope with, the bit that fits in well for them and helps them get the lesson, and that I think the kid will get the most out of. Whereas opening up Monday morning for the parent, I guess it's straight away, oh, I got to do all that. Yeah. Or isn't this week a long 6 days of very long reading as opposed to maybe a very short one each day.
Yeah. And it's just jumped out of my head as you were talking. Something popped in my head, and like you a second ago, it's popped out again.
Train the trainer. Yep.
Yes, that was so I'm in the middle of Rachel Turner's book, and I'm going to look at her. So she's got a video series on faith in the home, training stuff, and going to look at what that looks like and how we might use some of those or all of it as part of Southside to be doing the train the trainer type stuff with our parents. So yes, that's part of the work in progress sort of thing, because we probably haven't done that other than discussions we have here on Tuesday night, and maybe some parents listen in occasionally, and that would be lovely. But yeah, how do we provide more of those opportunities to be walking alongside and training our parents? Yes, hopefully, and I have no idea, but hopefully there was lots of talk about that sort of thing in church on Sunday, because they got the lovely Deuteronomy 6 reading about, talk about it when you rise and when you sleep and when you, it's like, yeah, oh, I'm not preaching that week. So hopefully they heard lots about faith formation in the family. It's intergenerational. It's all those things. Yeah, so keep an ear out if you're listening and you're a parent. We'll do some of Rachel's family faith. Yes, yeah, family faith training stuff. I was just trying to get the name of her stuff. That might not be. So yes, that's that thought. I'll try and find. There was a wonderful story I was reading today that doesn't necessarily relate to this, but I liked it. It's not going to jump out at me, is it? Yes, today she was talking about, or the bits I was reading today, talking about building community, multi-generational community, and that challenge of sometimes when we want to do that, we do activities that work for kids and force the parents and the adults along to join in. And that maybe it's about how do we do stuff that the adults would do that the kids can relate to. And she says, we all remember that time when, as we were growing up, and then the adults invited us into their game. We went, oh, wow, isn't this wonderful? That maybe. And so how do you do that? How do you do like a trivia night where there's a few questions that you need to be under 10 to know the answers to, some that you need to be over 70 to know the answers to, and a bunch that every other adult would know, and some activities like carry someone around the room in your team and things like that. So yes, who knows, we might do something like that. But yes, that challenge of intergenerational, it's not just how do we do everything for the kids, but how do we include everyone in? We might have an early mark because that's all I've got to say. And early marks are all right.
Awesome.
Well, I'll give you the address of your local IKEA shop, Richard. You can pop on
Logan.
there.
Down Logany Way, isn't it? I drive
That's
past
right,
and
yes.
go, I'm not coming in.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's good. It's you don't have to buy anything is the important thing.
It's the point of going
It's
into a
got a
shop.
coffee
I'm not buying
shop.
anything.
Go to the coffee shop, look at ideas, training sessions, all good. Yeah.
Maybe one time I'll take the plunge. Okay, I'm going to stop recording.